Britain, a Britain that isn't in health crisis, schools that aren't underfunded, where they have to collect from the parents in order to maintain the schools work in a normal way, that we don't have to go around the whole country seeing Sure Start centres closed and libraries closed and swimming pools restricted, all these things. We will take the case out there for what Labour councils can do and do their best in a period of austerity, but show that a Labour government will invest in the needs of people in this country, not in tax giveaways. And I'm urging people to support Labour, and our party is very strong and very active on all the doorsteps. And so this is a chance for people to elect Labour councils, but also show their rejection of the Tory way of doing things. That's what these elections are about. That is the test. That is the test for people to come out and support.
Tony Rowe, BBC.
Yeah, you've chosen Newark to launch the campaign today. There's not a single Labour county councillor in Newark. Is that a sign of optimism despite the polls and the predictions?
That's why we're here. Our wonderful colleagues on Nottinghamshire County Council and all the innovative work they've done. I've talked about their business investment, which has brought jobs to the county, and we're taking that message out everywhere, because at the end of the day, the housing crisis affects everybody. Obviously it affects the homeless sleeping on the streets of our cities. Obviously it affects those that are living in inadequate private rented accommodation with insecure tenancies. It affects those desperately searching the housing list every week to see if they've got enough points to make a bid. It obviously affects everybody, but it also affects families that never thought they would be affected by the housing crisis. When relatively well-off families, children, can't leave home because they can't afford the deposit to rent a private place, or their rent is so high they can never afford the deposit to buy anywhere. And so we're taking that message out, that this country is becoming more divided and more unequal the longer this Tory government is in office. They're more interested in tax giveaways on corporate tax cuts and income tax reductions for the very wealthiest than they are in funding the very necessary services. And we are making the point that it's local government that has paid the price and borne the brunt of austerity over the past 6 years, not the bankers who caused the crisis in the first place.
Guardian.
With, as you say, the NHS in crisis and schools suffering funding shortages and life expectancy, why are the polls showing that the Conservatives are about 20 points ahead and Labour is at its lowest point in a very long time?
Well, I'm glad you've asked a question on life expectancy and on social care, because too often our media simply don't deal with the issues that people face day to day. There are more than 1 million people waiting for social care in this country, and there are many people who are stuck in hospital who frankly shouldn't be in hospital but can't leave because there's no social care available for them. And whilst the government did eventually come up with a little bit more money, it's nowhere near the needs. We've got roughly £2 billion shortfall on social care spending, and they haven't come anywhere near half of that figure of what's necessary. And so they're allowing people to suffer, forcing many people, usually women, to give up work in order to care for those in need. And so I'm not expecting or wanting an easy ride from the media. I don't care about that. But what I do care about is an obsession by so many to ignore the reality of homelessness, of social care, of NHS. Simply doesn't have to be the case in modern Britain. And so these elections give us an opportunity, and I hope all newspapers and radio and TV all over the country will at least get involved in a serious debate about health, about social care, about schools, about housing. Because at the end of the day, if people grow up in poverty, particularly children grow up in poverty, they tend to underachieve in school. If they underachieve in school, they lead less fulfilling lives. If they lead less fulfilling lives that are not achieving their potential, we all lose. We lose the doctor, the engineer, the lawyer, the nurse, the teacher. We lose all of those people that could have achieved so much, but poverty held them back. It's something very sad that there's fewer working class youngsters getting into university this year than previous years, that students are leaving with such massive debts. Those are the issues that I would like to see debated during this next month of these election campaigns. So we can show that Labour councils, with all the difficulties, will do their very best to invest in communities, jobs and housing. But essentially, it's a message to the government. Stop the tax giveaways at the top and start funding the services that are necessary for the vast majority of our people.